Hey everyone, in this video I want to show you our new CST LUTs that are specifically designed to bring DaVinci Resolve level color management to Final Cut Pro, Premiere Pro, and any other editing software that doesn't quite have the same color management tools that DaVinci has. So I'm going to show you what I mean here in this quick demo. We'll start with some footage here that was captured in S-Log3, and then I'm going to show you another clip in V-Log from a Panasonic Lumix GH7. But I'm going to show you typically kind of what happens here in Final Cut Pro when you import a shot like this. Sometimes you're automatically going to get a little bit of color management applied, but really that's just a LUT being applied at the settings level in your inspector. Other times you're going to import your footage like this and it doesn't auto apply. It kind of depends, I guess, how the footage is tagged, what camera it was on. It doesn't always work. In this case, I imported an S-Log3 clip and it didn't register. So what I'm going to do here is go over to the inspector tab, and I'm going to drag down here to camera LUT. And here I'm going to set the standard Sony S-Log3 S-Gamut3 Cine LUT. And this is what you're going to basically get bundled with Final Cut Pro, Premiere, most editing software. You're going to get some version of this stock LUT. And you can see here, if we go full screen, what it's doing. It's obviously a much more pleasing image to look at, especially if you're an editor and you're not going to want to look at the log footage. Something is better than nothing, but it's not the optimal starting point. And we're going to kind of take a look at a bit of a comparison here and see why. So let's switch over here, and instead of using the stock Sony S-Log3 LUT, let's bring this down to our S-Log3 S-Gamut3 Cine to Rec709 conversion. And this is going to give you a very different look off the bat. So if I just toggle these back and forth, this one, the standard Sony S-Log3 LUT, looks very washed out in comparison. It has less density and weight in the image. And overall, the color palette just feels a little more disjointed when we compare it to what we've done here, which feels richer, more natural. It's not a perfect grade yet, and it's not meant to be, because this is just a purely technical color space conversion. There's no other filtering. It's just the most technically neutral color space conversion from what you shot on your sensor to the color space that you're grading for. And to further explain kind of what that actually means and why this is different from the standard LUT you're going to get with any other camera, is because while you are applying this as a LUT, the math behind it has all been rooted in the DaVinci Resolve color management. So take a look here in DaVinci Resolve, and this is still important whether you actually use Resolve or not. This is just to kind of understand why, again, this is doing something a little bit different than your standard LUT. So in Resolve, you have the option of right-clicking on a node and just applying a LUT like you would in any other software, but you also have the ability to use a color space transformation. So I'm going to grab this effect here, CST color space transform. And we can now manage our input and output color space. So my output color space is correct. I'm using the timeline color space, which is Rec709. And I want to now adjust just my input color space and input gamma. So in this case, again, we're working with Sony S-Log3 Gamut3 Cine. So I'm going to select that for the color space, and you can already see how we're seeing a wider spectrum of colors as soon as we just make that one adjustment. And then on the input gamma, I'm going to switch this over to Sony S-Log3. And now you have that nice, dense, more natural looking base grade compared to that LUT. So when you apply any of our CST LUTs, this is the type of color management that's getting applied to your shot, as opposed to simply taking a LUT that was created by the camera manufacturer, often by someone who may or may not even shoot footage themselves, and then applying that to your footage and not getting the result that you want right away. I'll show you one other example here very quickly, just with some Panasonic V-Log footage. If we go over here to camera LUT, again, I'm going to go to the kind of standard V-Log look that you're going to get when you bring it into basically any software that's applying that standard V-Log LUT. It's not bad for just a basic starting point for your edit, but it's nowhere near where you'll ultimately want to end up. And here's kind of a comparison to our V-Log LUT. And I'll just go full screen here so you can see that this improvement is in a way going to be very similar to what we saw with the S-Log3 footage. So I'll undo our latest correction. We'll go back to that standard LUT. This now still looks very washed out and just does not look color managed properly when we then bring in the Cinecolor color managed CST LUT, which feels a lot more natural and is going to give you that richer, denser look right off the bat. This image is actually looking pretty spot on right off the cards just with this LUT applied. I might actually use this as my base grade and just go straight into some minor primary adjustments and call it a day on this particular shot. So that's how simple it is to use the CST LUTs. Hopefully this has illustrated why there's some benefits to using these LUTs over the standard camera LUTs that come with your camera. If you're in DaVinci Resolve, you can of course use the CST tool to color manage your shots manually. But if you are in Premiere, if you're in Final Cut Pro, any other software, and you want that same ability and you want the cleanest possible color transformation, then these are the LUTs that you're going to want to use. Hope you guys enjoy them. And if you enjoyed this video and you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. And I will see you guys very soon.